there, guys! I'd like to thank Michael Loftus for helping out with today's Captain's Blog by making a donation through the Patreon and making everything work a little bit more smoothly today. Thank you, sir, and it's another day of rockets. Let's get going. What we're going to do today is, in front of you, you have a little kit, and in the next hour and a half, we're going to build a rocket that will actually fly, and this is kind of cool. All the stuff that you're learning here today applies to rockets from this big to all of the bigger kits. If you want to make more rockets, they sell them in town, and you can do this, to making ridiculously large rockets with the guys out in Muskegon that launch rockets that weigh like a lot. They're taller than him, and it's fun. So, open up the big bag and just dump everything on the table in front of you. And then set the empty bag aside. Okay. Once you're all opened up, just leave everything right in front of you, and we'll make sure everybody has all the parts. Okay, now, in front of you, I want everybody to make sure we all have the same parts, okay? Everybody have the red wiggly bit? Okay. This is the tail fin assembly. Everybody got the blue pointy thing? Now, your blue pointy thing may or may not have a little white thing on the bottom, like that. If it does, you can leave it in there, but just make sure that you have the little white thing somewhere, okay? Everybody's got... There you go. Everybody got the paper towel tube? Okay. And you should also have a yellow piece of paper. Okay, now the yellow piece of paper you can throw away. That can go with the other thing. You're not going to need that. Did you open these and take out all the German ones?
Out of yours, yeah.
Okay, out of everybody else's?
Yeah.
Okay. Schenken Sie mir Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. Sie kommen jetzt in den interessantesten und gleichzeitig geheimsten Raum meiner Fabrik. Did anybody understand what I just said? Okay. You'll have two sets of instructions. One will be words you can read, and the other one will be words in that language that I just spoke. And you won't need them. So you won't really need the instructions at all, but you can throw the German ones right away.
These are the German ones.
I can read German, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
This one is in French. Instruction put
Okay, now you should have a little bag of stuff, and we can open the little bags now.
Bad.
Be careful, because the stuff inside them likes to jump out, and it's all very delicate. That's why they put it in the little tiny bags, so we don't lose it. Inside the little bag, you should have the little white tube. This is the toilet paper tube. You should have a little white ring, just a little thin white plastic band. Be careful with this. They don't like it if you crush them. You should have a green ring that's kind of stiff and made out of cardboard. This is the green ring.
I have two.
No, you'll have a green almost ring as well. That just makes a tight C. Right? Everybody should have two green rings. One's all the way around and one's most of the way around. You have a rubber band for snapping your sister with.
Thank you.
You have a little bent metal bit that looks kind of like a hairpin, but not. You have another baggie with a parachute in it. Leave the parachute in the little bag. And of course we have stickers, because stickers are awesome. Okay? And by the way, the stickers you can do almost anything you want with. There's only one rule on the stickers, and we'll get to that at the very end. Okay, so everybody's got all the parts? Let's build a rocket. Now, we're going to start out with the toilet paper tube. Everybody has a little tiny tube like this, and on your tube, on one side, is a little tiny notch. You see the little hole on the tube?
Yes.
Okay, put the tube on your finger with the notch facing up, like this.
Like this.
Yep. Now the little notch is important because that's the top of the tube. The notch here is the top of the rocket. The notch goes up. On the tube, what we're going to do is we're going to measure out. Oh, we don't even have to measure on this one. That is so cool. Oh, this is even easier. No, we do have to measure an inch. It's about an inch. Okay, everybody hold up your thumb. Today, your thumb is officially designated as 1 inch wide, okay? So your thumb is an inch wide. And I want you to take the tube and pinch it with your thumb like this at the bottom and grab a marker. Blue is best for official rocket use. And I want you to draw a line on the tube just like this. So you're going to hold your tube with the thing up and bring it around and push your thumb against the bottom. And you're going to have the edge of your thumb even with the bottom, okay? And then on the other side of your thumb, draw a little line just like this next to your thumb in line with the notch. So the notch and the line go on the same line, okay? Like that. You're going to put your thumb up against your tube. You can draw a line right next to your thumb. Just a little line, because that's going to be about an inch. And once you've done that, I want you to hold it up over your head so I can see your inch. Show me your inch. Yours is awesome. Good, 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 good. You still working on it? You got it. You got it. Good. Show me your inch. Everybody is awesome. Cool. You have very tiny thumbs. Cool. It'll work. All right. How many people drew on their thumb?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now the next step. You take your little metal wibbly bit. Now one side, the top of it is just bent over at a 90-degree angle. Okay, it's just a right angle. The bottom of it is all kinky and bent, right? So we're going to put the top in the hole like this. And if you drew your line in the right spot, that'll go right down over your line. So that should go inside the tube just a little bit, and it should look like that when you're done. Okay? Everybody got that? Hold it up. Show me. If this doesn't make sense, ask for a grown-up. We'll help you. You are awesome. Cool. All right. Now you have the little white band, the little thin white plastic band. Ah, don't drop it. Slip this down over the top to where it just goes barely past the top of the metal bit. Okay, we're just going to let this hang out up near the top for a second, okay? Yep, like that. You want to get it past the metal bit, though. So it's going to be up just below the bump. Because sometimes that takes a second to fight it over, and I don't want you to have to rush with glue. All right, so. Cool, that's going to hold that on there, and we're set. Now, and just leave that hanging out up there. What that'll do is that'll hold your metal piece on there so it doesn't flop around. It makes this easier. All right, now, you have 2 green rings. One of them has a notch in it. One of them's an almost ring. Okay?
Nope.
Take the green ring and slip it on the end of the tube.
Which one?
The green ring with the notch in it. Look at this. It's going to go on the end of the tube like that from the bottom end, and you're going to push it up a little bit. Up just a little bit like that. It's about where you want it.
Right. You got it right.
Okay? You just slip it right over the tube. What you should end up with is a thing that looks like this. You want to have it up a little bit. You don't need it up a lot, but just a little bit. Okay? Everybody with me?
Yes.
Looking around, making sure everybody got it. Shell, everybody, your table's good?
We're all good.
Okay. Now, how many of you have ever glued your fingers together? Okay. Today is the day for the rest of you. Today is also the day you glue your fingers to the rocket. So, open your glue bottle by pulling up on the thing, like that. It'll click a couple times. Okay? Now, here's how we do this. Okay. There is a time in life when dealing with glue where the bigger the gob, the better the job, but building rockets is not one of them. So you're going to put just enough glue to get this wet, pretty much all the way around, and you're going to put it right on the end. Look where I'm holding this, because that's where you want to be, okay? Because what we're going to do, I'll do it first, and then we'll all do it together. We're going to go around the top like this with just a little tiny bit of glue. You don't need a lot, and you can use the bottle to smear it around a little bit. Okay, we're going to put glue at the bottom of the rocket. And now you've got a line of glue around here, and then you slide the green ring down onto the glue. And the green ring goes all the way down to the bottom so that it's flat with the bottom of the tube. So you should be able to just barely see the bottom of the tube with the ring. It should end up like this, and everything's flush. It means they both start at the same spot. And you can just wipe off the excess glue with your finger. This is just basic wood glue, and it won't hurt you.
So the split goes with the metal?
Yeah, the split goes around the metal. Looks like this. That's what you're looking for. Yeah, it's beautiful. And you want glue under that all the way around. Yeah, you're set.
Yay.
I'm going to go get it cleaned.
With the extra glue, there's a secret system for this. You bring it all the way down. No, all the way down. All the way down.
I had my
And
grandpa.
you run your finger around it like that. Then you wipe it on your jeans. For those of you that aren't wearing hardcore rugged jeans, we have wet wipes. But you want to have this all the way down, and you want to wipe the glue like this. This needs to be all the way down to touch. And you wipe around to get the glue off with your finger, because you don't want any drips there. Drips are bad. If you have drips, the drips will actually harden, and you won't be able to make the rocket work. All right, if you're at this point, I want you to hold it up on the end of your finger like this and show me. Because I'm going to come check them. Make sure everybody's got it right. You're awesome. You're awesome. Perfect, perfect. You're almost there. Almost. Oh, you got it. You're perfect. Okay, yours is great. Yours is great. Yours is great. Okay. Hers is great. Yours is awesome. Is that straight? Down flush. Like that. Okay. That one's perfect. Perfect. Good. Okay. Now the next step is pretty much the last step in a different spot. Nope, all the way down. Slide it down like that. And wipe it off your finger. You want to have this all the way down. I am never, ever getting this glue off my hand. All right, now the next step. Remember where you drew the line on there, the little line?
Uh-huh.
Okay. On your line, I want you to put a little thin band of glue. Watch me do it first, and then we'll all do it together, okay? This is where I drew my line because I have really fat thumbs. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue just right the way around. Like this. And you don't have to be exact because it's not like this is rocket science. All right. Once I've got the glue on there, I slide the band down on top of the glue. And I put my little line, you can see through the band, and I put my little line right in the middle of the band. And then just go right the way around, wipe the glue off, and just get rid of that on my dry wipe. So this is what you want to have it look like when you're done there, okay?
Just do it again.
Yep, same thing.
Now, get that white band down so that edge lines up with that mark.
Yep, and then use your wipe to wipe over that now.
No more. Can't.
It's okay. It's not glued in place yet, so it's cherry
If your kid's thumbs are particularly tiny, you may want to move the band up. It needs to be about 1 inch up from the bottom. If it's too close to the bottom, yeah, you're good. If it's too close to the bottom, they'll have difficulty getting the motor in later. Yeah, come up a little bit. Come up.
Bottom's good?
This way is up. Pull this down.
Right there.
Okay. There's stickers on there. There's no time yet. Sticker time is coming. Sticker time is the best time. But you got to get your certification for stickers. Okay. Okay. Turns out some guys can do that. All right. Now we get to actually make a part that looks like a rocket for the first time. So, pick up your red thing. This, what you've made so far, is the motor housing. This is where the rocket engine goes. This is the fin assembly. This is the bottom of the rocket. Now, inside the end of this is a little tiny lip on the bottom. You can barely feel it with your fingernail. But this will know it. So take this and put this in here like that. And when you put it in, you want to make sure that the metal part ends up between two fins like that. Okay, so what you should end up, it should slide right in and it should stop. You shouldn't be able to push this, like don't reef on it, but this should have a nice spot where it wants to sit just inside. Okay, and when you're done, you want to hold this piece in this hand like this. You're going to grab a fin and push the bottom with your finger to hold it all together like that. Okay, so this is what you should end up with, and there should be a little bit of white sticking out the top. Yep, just stick it right in there. Yes, yes, a little bit more. Oh, you got it. See, you're awesome. Okay. Has everybody got this?
Yes.
Everybody's good?
I guess so.
Okay, here's the next step. Remember that other green ring?
Yes.
What we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of glue around this, and then we're going to push the green ring down, and when you're all done, it'll look like this. Now, here's the trick. Before you do anything with glue, just put it barely on, because the hard part is getting it on the end of the thing. So just barely get it on, and then put the glue around here. So get to this, to where you've got this just barely on there. And then you grab your glue. And you don't need a lot of glue, you just need a little bit.
Squeeze it.
And once you've got the glue on there, you take the green thing and you push the green thing down. Now the top green thing won't go inside the tube. It'll just come down to the tube, and you may have to squeeze each end like this. And then this is really important. Wipe the glue off all the way around. Because if you have glue hanging out on that edge, you're going to be a sad panda in a few minutes.
Hey, my aunt should be here if you should panda. She saw a panda.
Okay, now. There you go.
And when you're all done, you should have this, which looks like a little red bottom of a rocket with a green ring on top.
Yep.
And you shouldn't have any inside tube really sticking out of either end. It should be pretty much flat. So if you've got like a 1/4 inch of tube hanging out somewhere, you did something wrong. Hold it up like this, let me see. You're good, put it down. You're good. You got to wipe all that glue off around the side. Yep, yours is awesome. That's beautiful. You're great. She's catching up quick. Yours is awesome. Put it down. Yours is great. Set down. Mom's playing up glue. Yours is great. You set down. Cool. All right, we're going to let everybody catch up for a minute. Yours is beautiful. No, wait.
I'm going to jump rope.
You were a little bit too tall there. Now you're better.
I'm tall.
It'll totally work. Your rocket's going to fly, or I'm going to feel bad and cry. Okay. Everybody caught up?
Sure.
All right. Now, we're going to divert to the other end of the rocket for a minute. You should have a blue nose cone and a white nose cone cap. Hold up these two parts. Okay, now this is what we're going to do. Don't do it until after I've done it, so I want, because this is a little different from what we've been doing. I want to make sure everybody gets it right. You're going to hold the nose cone cap like an ice cream cone in one hand, probably your left, okay? Whichever hand you don't write with. You hold this like an ice cream cone. In your box, you will have a thing of rubber cement. You're going to open this up in a minute. Now wait till I do it before you do it. On the inside of the cap is a brush and lots of goop, okay?
Yeah.
So what you want to do is inside the ice cream cone, put a little bit of this, keep it on the inside, slop it around, and you want to have it just inside the lip. This stuff gets everywhere. It's part of the fun. Once that goes in there, take the cap, and you've got a little hook end on it. That's the outside. And this will slide right into it. Put them together, and then give it about half a turn. And then set this aside, and we'll come back to this later. But it takes a long time for this to dry, so we want it to just sit aside and cook for a bit. Okay? Make sure there's no goop on the outside, so just wipe it off. It's not a big deal. It's just rubber cement. And just set this aside. You need rubber cement? This is the messy part.
So you don't need a whole lot, guys. You can wipe most of it off.
No, you don't need that time. Just a little bit.
No, just see the white piece? Where the white piece is? Yeah, watch. Let me see your cap. See the part of the cap right here? This bit? That's going to mesh down to the inside. So this has only got to go in that deep. So that's all you got to get on there. But you can't have too much. You're not going to screw it up.
All the way around. Yep, that's good. Okay, so on to the next person.
When you're done, you should end up with a thing that looks like an ice cream cone with a white top. Like this. That's what you should have, and there should be a little window on top of it. Okay? And just make sure this is all the way in. It goes in a certain amount and stops. And then just set this aside, and it's going to take a while to dry. So we want this to do its thing.
Put your weight in and then give it all. Here, again. Seal that up.
All right. Next step. Everybody ready for the next step? I can wait. Take your time.
No. Never sleepy. Today I'm going to stay up until 3 a.m.
Yeah,
Okay, the next step, I'm going to do it before you do it, is you're going to take the white paper towel tube and the bottom of the rocket, and we're going to put some glue around here, and then we're going to glue this onto here, and when you're all done, it'll look like that. Okay, you'll have white paper towel tube all the way down to the bottom. Okay? So you take a little bit of glue. When you put your tube on, be really careful, because if you push too hard, you can split the tube. It's just made out of cardboard, so this isn't aluminum rocket parts. Once it goes on, you'll see some glue spooge out of the side. Just clean the glue off. You don't want to have any drips or runs of glue on your rocket. You want to have all the glue wiped off as you go, each step. Because when the glue dries, it doesn't just vanish. It forms a little hard booger on the side of your rocket, and that can mess things up later on. No rocket boogers. You want me to help you with that? Because this is kind of a tricky part. Now you're all the way down, and just clean your roof off.
that's pretty good.
And if you're successful, you should now have something that starts to look like a rocket. How about that? Yeah, start to look like a rocket.
You're rocking.
I'm a rock star. All right. When everybody's done, just set it on the table, and we'll make sure everybody's caught up. The glue isn't dry. Put that in there, you'll glue it together, and you'll never get it apart, and then you'll be mad at me.
Stickers, I'm betting.
Some of you at this point may be tempted to stick the blue nose cone in the rocket. Don't do that, because the glue is still drying on this, and if you stick it in there, they'll glue together, and you won't finish your rocket. Guess how I learned this?
Am I trying it?
If you are trying to follow along in the instructions, you'll notice I'm jumping back and forth. This is so that I can let glue dry in time like that, and it gets us all through this a lot quicker by being able to have sub-assemblies drying. Okay, now, everybody should have a big rubber band. Everybody got the big rubber band? Now, does everybody have the little pieces of paper from Michelle?
What piece
No.
of paper?
Okay, we're going to hand out little pieces of paper. Okay, I'll take a couple and go this way. Everybody needs one of these for each rocket, okay? So I'm going to hand some out. Normally, if you build one of these as a kit that you get at the hobby shop, you actually have to cut this out of the instructions. But what we did is we Xeroxed a bunch ahead of time. You need one?
I already got one.
Well, now you got two. All right.
Thanks.
We Xerox these ahead of time so that you guys don't have to cut things apart. Because we're cool.
Thank you.
We're here to help. All right. So, you have a piece of paper with the numbers 1, 2, 3, and you have a rubber band. Now we get to practice the ancient Chinese art of origami.
Yes.
You want to put a little crease in your paper on the dotted lines, like this.
What?
Okay? So you're going to put a little fold on the dotted lines. There's a line between 1 and 2, and there's a line between 2 and 3. And just crease the paper a little bit, and you're going to end up with something that looks like that. Okay?
Every single one.
Yep, there's only 2. You got this.
This way.
You want to go this way. You want to fold them so you're making the numbers touch. So it should fold like this. Okay? And then you can straighten it back out a bit. We're just going to need those creases in a minute because they're going to tell us where to go. All right. Now everybody watch me do this before you do it. This is easy to do, but it's really easy to screw it up. So hold the paper upside down. So you have the numbers 1, 2, 3. 1 on top, 3 on the bottom. You should have it like this. And you're going to put a little stripe of glue. I'll draw where the glue is going to go, okay? Because this is the only place you need glue. You're going to put a stripe of glue that covers the numbers right down the middle. And that's where you want the glue to be. Okay, so you're just going to put a little stripe of glue down the middle. And once you've done that, you're going to put the rubber band, the end of the rubber band, onto the glue. You're just going to cover the glue line with the rubber band, and it should end up looking like this. Okay? You're going to make a big jellyfish. So this is where you want to be. A stripe of glue where the blue is, and then put the rubber band on top. You can do this all flat on the table. It's just a lot harder for me because I got to hold it up.
That's a lot.
You do not need as much glue for this step as you may think.
That's good.
You will find out how much glue you actually needed in a moment because most of it's going to squeeze out.
So what you do is you take your rubber band.
Okay. So where you want to be is with this sitting flat on the table, you want it to look like this. Okay? And just leave this flat on the table. And once you've got to here, then we get to fold it. So we're going to fold the line from 1 to 2 over. See how I've got my rubber band laying on there? We're going to fold the line from 1 to 2 over,
Fold it over.
like that,
Don't worry about it yet. Clean it up.
and squeeze it out. You'll get a lot of glue
Fold 1
moving.
down to 2.
Now, on top of this, add a little tiny bit of glue. You don't need a lot, just a smear. And then fold this over again on the other line, the 2 to 3 line. And then you can just squeeze this a bit and work all the glue out. Okay? But you want to just squeeze this down, and what you'll end up with is now we have a jellyfish. Okay? A goopy, sticky glue jellyfish. You got what? Okay. Well, I'm happy to help. What you got?
Pull off your rubber band
Oh, no.
and have it touch the end of that line suture, okay?
Just like that.
A little bit farther up. And you're
Just
gonna
like that.
fold the paper over on that first line. Down real tight there. This is usually where you glue your fingers down. Now fold it over again. Good.
Mine's broken.
Have it Nice and tight there. You want that to stick. Okay.
It's got to set.
And then I'm going to fold it over like this. That side will go there, and that side will go there. Smush it out a little bit. Add just a little bit of glue. And we're going to fold this over like this. About like that. And we're going to smush it down, make a mess. Now just wipe off the excess glue. Okay, when you're done, you should have a little folded over thing that looks like this. It's going to look about like this, kind of like a jellyfish. Okay? All right. Now we do the hard part. This is the crux of it all. You can't really explain this so much, you just got to show people how it works. But you've got your jellyfish like this. You're going to bring your arm up along the line. You're not going to go down this way, you'll regret it. You're going to go this way, and you're going to put the jellyfish on your fingertip, and you're going to kind of curl it around a little bit so the jellyfish is wrapped around your fingertip. Okay? So that's part one. Part two, now, pay really close attention because this is the part where if you screw it up, it leads to sadness and regret later. You have to put a little bit of glue on this. And then you have to reach inside the tube without letting this touch the side of the tube. And you want to get it in as far as you can, like your whole finger, and then glue it to the side. You push it against the side. For me, it's all the way down here. Now, here's the problem. If you let glue touch the end of the tube right near here, once you get past like your second knuckle, you're fine. You get all the glue you want in there, nothing's going to care. But the first knuckle area, if you get glue there, when you put this in later, you'll glue the rocket together, and you will be unhappy. It's very important later for the rocket to be able to come apart like this. So don't get any glue that far in the tube. Okay, that white area is the danger area. No glue at the end of the tube, okay? So here's how I do it. This may work for you. If you have short fingers, get a grown-up, we're happy to help. But here's how I do it. I curve it around my finger like that. You don't need a lot of glue. And what you want is the glue you put on here, don't leave a big glue booger. Smear it down. Get it flat on the paper. You just need the paper to be wet with the glue. It doesn't need a big glue booger sticking up because the higher it sticks up, the easier it is to hit the side of the tube. So you put this in like this, and you just slide it down in, and you push it against the side with your finger, and just smush it out. And what you're trying to do is basically squeeze the glue out of the paper down inside the tube. And then just let it sit on the table like that. Wipe off your fingers. You're going to need help because you have tiny little fingers. Which is really good because you can fit in the tube better than I can, but you can't get down.
I'm going to put these screws on the end, and then you just reach down in there Now, don't touch the side. Yeah, I'll hold it. Put your fingers on it. Reach it all the way down. Now push it on the side.
All right.
Okay,
Do
got it?
not pull. Like once you've got that together, just set the rocket down and let it just set up for a minute because it's going to take a minute for the glue to cure.
Okay. I think we did it there.
Did you do it?
Now that's got to sit.
Uh-huh.
Place.
You put it on the end of your finger there. Reach your finger all the way down inside.
Once everybody's done, let me know. Do not put the top in your rocket at this point. There will be sadness if you do. Cool. See, you see what's happening. Yeah. It's a lot easier with a smaller project. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just. Yeah, we're only 40 minutes in. I might actually get this done in and out. I think we can do that. Okay. Now here's the next step. Everybody set your rocket down and make sure your hands do not have anything sticky on them. No sticky hands. If you need a wet wipe or something, get one. Otherwise, if you're one of the farm kids like me, you just wipe it on your jeans.
You need one?
Okay. In a little baggie, you have an orange and white thing. This is a parachute. Open the baggie. Do not unfold the parachute.
Oh yeah, and the second bag.
You need one?
Sure.
You should end up with a thing that looks like this.
Thanks.
Don't unfold the parachute.
Go ahead.
You need some muscle?
Yes, please.
Happy to help. Okay, everybody should end up like this. Now, on your parachute, you can open it up like this and you get the wizard hat stage. This is as much as you want to unfold the parachute today, okay? Hanging from the parachute will look like 6 strings, but there aren't. There's 3 strings and they go down and they come back. So there's 3 loops. If you let the stuff hang, you should see 3 loops at the bottom. Put your finger through the 3 loops. Just hang them all on one finger, and you should be able to hang the parachute like this. And have 3 threads that go over your finger. That's where you want to be. Okay, so hold it up like this, and you'll have 3 threads. Right? Everybody got 3 loops? By the way, Estes has been making these rockets since the 50s, and these parachutes are perfectly sized after years of experimentation and research for G.I. Joe or Lego people. They're a little bit small for G.I. Joe guys, and they're really big for Lego people, but they work great. And you can put Lego people in your rocket. So you want to end up like this, and now, remember our nose cone? That little loop on the bottom? You want to put your 3 loops. You want to thread them all together like you're threading a big needle, okay? And you're going to put the 3 loops through the hole in the back of the nose cone. So you're going to go just like this. It's kind of fussy, but just work them in there. And sometimes it'll want to, be careful, make sure you get all 3 through, because sometimes one of them will want to go inside. But you want to end up like this. And if you do it right, you should be able to just let it hang like that and still have 3 loops over your finger. But this should be able to hang right here with 3 loops over your finger. Everybody got to that stage? Okay, everybody there? We almost got everybody.
Yup, I got it.
Okay. Once you get to this point, this is where we get to do something kind of neat. Put your thumb in the hole and spread it out like that. And you should have 3 threads that go all the way around. And then take the top of the wizard's hat, and you're going to put the top of the wizard's hat through the big hole like this. Everybody watch me. You're going to take this, and you're going to go through here, and then just pinch the top of the wizard's hat, and when you let go, it'll do this.
I'll let go.
Okay? And now you got a parachute hanging from a nose cone. This is how it's going to look after your rocket launches. This will float down to the ground. So you can let it hang like this, and now you can tighten these up, and you want to slide you've got a little knot here, which by the way is called the lark's head knot, and this is going to go off to the side. And it's easiest at this point if you just cinch this down, just tighten it up, on one of the side pieces, not on the big bottom one. So just cinch it up off to the side like that. And today you learned what a lark's head knot is. If you get into building kites, you'll use that knot a lot. Okay.
We're doing this, right?
Yep, we're doing that. Just drop it right through. It'll fall. Scooch it off to the side. And then tighten it up a little bit. Don't yank on it too hard because the glue in here is still kind of gentle. Okay? All right, now we require spatial awareness because in a minute, not yet, in a minute, you're going to start working with the end of this. But you need to work with the end of this close enough to the rocket that you don't pick the rocket up off the table because the glue in there is still wet. And if you yank this, you'll yank that out and you'll be sad. So you want to have a nice loose piece of this, and you're going to work right next to your rocket, okay? But we're going to take this piece, the end of the rubber band, and we're going to put it through the same hole in the tail cap we just put the parachute through, and just tie it in a basic knot. You can use any kind of terrible hatchet granny knot you want. It doesn't matter. But you want to tie a knot through there and leave a little tail of a couple inches of rubber band. So you want to end up like this. And if you do it all right, you'll have a little tail hanging out about this long. You don't need anything substantial. And you should have the parachute, the nose cone, and the rocket all tied together. Okay? Sure, I can help you. Sure. What you got? Oh, you need a knot?
Yeah.
Okay. Watch this. Let's cinch that down. Okay? Bring this through.
Do you want it double knotted or just a single?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Double knotted if you can. And be careful when you pull it tight. If you pull too hard on the rubber band, it'll just break. They're pretty good rubber bands, though.
How's that look? Right?
Okay. And then when you're all done, set everything down, and you should have all the pieces just all there ready to go. Okay, everybody good?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to come around and inspect everybody's rocket and see if we're good so far. There's only 2 little pieces left. And once we do the next 2 pieces, all we can do is let everything just sit for 10 minutes and dry. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around and I'm going to check your rocket. And if it's good, if everything works out, you get an official certificate of awesomeness. Okay? And it just takes me a second to check over your rocket. And I'm just going to make sure you don't have any glue dripping or problems. You get one of those. Okay? Oh, that's really cool. You guys should go to Ryder and get bigger rocket kits. You've got this.
What is?
You go to Ryder's Hobby Shop at 28th Street,
Right.
out by Kalamazoo.
Oh,
28th
okay.
and Kalamazoo.
Okay.
Yep. Go in there, you ask for a guy named Q. Looks like an old goat. Okay? He's forgotten more about rockets than you and I will ever.
Okay.
Dude's a genius. Okay, you want to smooth that out a little bit. You won't get a motor. The rest of it looks great. You get an award. Okay. Oh, that's good. That's for serious quality rocket there. Tighten this down a little bit. Tighten that a little bit. Just snug that in, okay? I'm coming around the back. Excuse me, guys. Okay. That's good. Can you get a grown-up finger in there and smush that against the side a little bit? You get one. Okay. Whose rocket is this?
That one's ours.
Yeah? Is this Mom's rocket? Okay. Mom's good at rockets.
Yours.
Yeah.
Is it yours?
Okay. There you go. I'm not taking the bell down there. I'm going this way. Ah. Okay. Let me see your rocket.
Okay, well I have something special for you.
Oh, that's good. Nice, clean glue joint. You got skills.
I wonder if this just, I realized, it's not where it should be.
It'll be alright. As long as it isn't right down a fin, you're okay. Okay, let me see your rocket. Good joints. Good knot. Cool. Let me see your rocket, sir. Good. Knot's good. Okay. You get one. Hi. You get one. Look at that. Good knot. Good shoot. Good fly. Your rocket. Okay, did I get everybody? Does everybody have a certificate?
Yeah.
Everybody got one?
Yeah.
Not you? Okay, I'm coming. Let me see you run. Good job. That's really clean. That is quite the knot. There's a name for that knot. We used a lark's head knot for the parachute. That knot that you got there on your rubber band is called a hatchet knot. Because that's what you're going to need to untie it if you ever decide to. All right. Wadding. Where be the wadding? All right, we are now going to load our rockets. So everybody's going to get 2 pieces of paper that my buddy's going to hand out to everybody. Okay. And this is special tissue paper that doesn't like to catch on fire. It's kind of cool. And this is what you're going to do with it. You're going to take it, put it in your hand, put a finger in it right in the middle, and just wrap your hand around. And you're going to end up with a very loose, packed ball. Don't crunch this into a tight little ball. It doesn't help. It doesn't work if you do that. Okay? So you want a big, floofity, loose ball. And you're going to take this, and you're going to stick it in your rocket. Just wad it up and push it as deep in your rocket as you can with one finger. Okay? And then take the second bit of wadding, ball it up, stick it in the rocket, and push it as deep as you can with one finger. If you have tiny little kid fingers, get a grown-up with big fingers to help, because you actually need it to be about that far down inside the rocket. Okay? And he's going to, we've got people handing out stuff.
Okay.
It's okay, I have big, giant man fingers. Besides, I like helping you. Anybody who can wear polka dots can pull that off, so that'd be pretty cool.
Wrap that on too.
Perfect one.
Buy more, right? Yeah. Sure, you can do this. I'll stick it in, but you're going to fold it up. Just put a finger in, come right up around. Really nice and loose, yep. And then I'll put this in.
Pardon?
Oh, no, it's fine. It felt weird.
I always used to come here for dog.
Oh, yours are good, Noah.
Okay, you're in. You're good. All right, when you're all stuffed in, let me know. Everybody's good. Okay. Just all you gotta do is just stuff them both in. You're good. Good. Okay. Now we get to do the fun part. Okay. Pick up your parachute by the top of the wizard hat like this, and you're going to fold it over like it was in the bag. It'll naturally want to fold over a certain way. Okay. And now you're going to wrap the parachute around itself like this. Okay. So it's folded over this way, and now you're going to fold it around this way like this. Okay. And you should be holding it from the top so the strings go down, right? All right. Grab the bottom where the strings are like this. And you're going to grab the strings and you're going to just wrap it around really loose. You don't have to strangle it. Just put it around 3 times and you should end up like this. Okay? Now it's really important you do this right, because if you do this backwards, which is easy to do, when you launch your rocket, it will land like a lawn dart instead of coming down with a parachute. So here's how you pack a parachute. This end is where it's folded over. This end is where the strings come out, okay? So when you put it in here, you're going to put it in like this, so that when you put it in, the strings are pointing at you. So you point. The folded over end goes into the rocket. And you just stick it in there and push all the little things in. And you should end up with a thing that looks kind of like this. Okay, you'll have the little strings and a big rubber band sticking out. And then just push all the strings and the rubber band down into the rocket. It doesn't matter how they go, they all come out in a hurry later. You can do this. You can do this.
Help me out here. I'm going to hold this. You push those strings down and the rubber band down in.
And make sure to put all the pieces in the hole and don't have anything that's pinched when you put the nose cone in, because the next step is to put the nose cone in like this, and now you have a whole rocket. I can help a little bit.
Except for the launch one.
Let me see this. You hold that part for a second, okay? So I'll do this first. Just cram the whole thing in there. All that down in there. Bring that.
Do you have something?
Crease that over a little bit.
Careful not to twist it too much.
That the whole-
We don't want it to knot up when it comes flying out. Yep, there you go. Got it. Just take it all. Push it all right down.
Stuff it in a pipe. And if you guys think this is tricky, you ought to see how many people it takes to do this on a real rocket. The rubber bands are huge.
Oh, we have tons of rockets.
Yes, but we can't today because God has a sense of humor. All right, now, does everybody have a rocket? Okay, when you have a rocket, I want you to hold your rocket up over your head. I want to see everybody's rocket. And you don't have any little things hanging out. It's all nice and clean, right?
Sure.
All right, now, the next step, everybody has a little tiny piece of soda straw, right? Does everybody have a little piece of soda straw? It should be about an inch long, little wax soda straw. This is easy. Now, all you have to do, in a minute, not yet, is you're going to put a little line of glue down your straw, just a thin, just get it wet. Okay, not big gobs of glue. Now on your rocket, as you look down your rocket, you'll have 3 fins, right? Between 2 of those fins, you'll have the wire piece sticking out. So put that one down. So the wire's down. And then between either of these sets of fins, as long as it isn't the one with the wire, you're going to glue this piece of cardboard on the side of your rocket, usually down towards the bottom, between these two, and it has to point up. It has to be nice and straight. This has to be parallel to the tube, and it has to be really, really straight. And I'm going to check it, okay? But you want to glue this piece right up about here, on the white part, not on the red part, just on the white part, halfway between 2 fins that aren't the metal fin, okay? Go ahead and do that now. It sounds really complicated to explain, but it's actually really simple. You just want a tiny bit of glue to do that with.
Well, it's got to go up and down the rocket, right? Because otherwise we can't slip it around.
When you're all done, it should look like this. And you should use just a kiss of glue, just enough to make a tiny little line of glue down the side of it.
I don't know. I've never built a rocket before. No, mine was a different one.
It goes up too high to shoot in the room.
There you go.
It's not sticking.
It's not sticking. Let me see. You don't need to add more glue. If it's not sticking, it's because you didn't add enough glue, or you added too much usually. So let me try this. You should have just a tiny thin line of glue down the side of the tube. Not big hanging gobs. There, you're perfect.
Big.
No big gobs.
That's it.
All right. At this point, congratulations, you built a rocket. Now there was one rule with the stickers. You remember I said there'd be one rule with the stickers? This is it. You can put the stickers on the rocket anywhere you want, except you cannot put any stickers that cross over the blue-white line. So you can have stickers down here, you can have stickers up here, but you can't have stickers that cross this line, because if you do, what you're doing is taping the rocket together, and when you launch it, bad things happen. So that's the only rule on stickers. Yep, the parachute won't come up and the rocket will crash. You will lawn dart the rocket. We want rockets, not lawn darts. Oh, by the way, you'll also notice you have a whole bunch of markers and stuff. You can decorate your rocket any way you like. Be very careful of this thing here, your launch tube on the side, because the glue is still wet, and it's easy to move that out of place. And if you do, we won't be able to launch your rocket.
Do I have to use the stickers?
You do not have to use the stickers. You can color all you like.
Is there anything on coloring?
There is no rules on coloring.
Small one would look pretty, it's not real hard, don't press that.
Yeah. The only thing you really have to worry about is don't glue the nose cone together and don't mess up the little launch guide tube on the side. And congratulations, you have now all built a rocket. And we did it in only an hour, almost exactly.
How do you launch it?
You come back here, we'll have a launch day. You'll get an email. Yep, you'll get an email. Just like you got an email for when it comes to this, you'll get an email for launch day.
We're not going to launch this today.
We're going to wait until the weather doesn't suck. Because we can do it today, maybe.
Yeah, maybe we could ask if we can play, but Sam bent a piece of it, so then we'll have to probably...
Okay, you guys, I think that, are you going to want to decorate this? Because if not, I decorated Okay.
At this point, something for you all to know. In town, on 28th Street, out by Kalamazoo, is a place called Ryder's Hobby Shop. At Ryder's Hobby Shop is a guy named Hugh. He looks like an old goat. He is the sweetest, nicest guy you will ever meet, and he has forgotten more about rockets than any of us will ever know. He has been building rockets since he was a little kid, and if you liked doing this, there are way, way more rockets out there than you can build in a lifetime, and they sell lots of them, and this is a really fun, inexpensive hobby to get into, and you can learn all kinds of cool science and engineering stuff along the way. But you can get rocket kits like this at Ryder's Hobby Shop. And pretty much Hobby Lobby sells them stuff like that. But Q is the guy to talk to. He can answer all your rocket questions. And if you want a place where you can come and build rockets anytime, check out the Geek Group on Leonard Street, because we have a whole lab there just for things that fly, whether it's model rockets or airplanes or drones or quads or helicopters, everything. We do all that stuff.
So, Chris, can you explain, since we can't launch today, like how the launch might
Sure.
look? So,
Here is how it
We
works.
have a launch thing at home.
oh, perfect.
But,
If you have a model rocket launch thing at home that looks like this, it'll work for these. So, here's how we launch them, and what's going to happen is you're all going to get an email. In a couple weeks, you'll get an email for, hey, we're going to go launch rockets, and you'll get some advance warning. But we're going to wait until the weather's nice. But what we do, this is going to be a little bit twitchy because the glue is still wet. On the side of your rocket is that little tube. And the reason that little tube is there is because if we just took your rocket outside and set it on the ground and launched it, it would go and somebody gets shot. Guess how I learned this? What we do is on launch day, we will bring the engines so that we know they fit your rocket and they're all the right size. And that little metal clip we put in way at the beginning, remember how I told you don't have any glue gobs hanging out? And that's because this just barely fits in your rocket. And if there's any glue boogers down there, you won't be able to get the engine in. But we put this in, and that little metal clip holds the engine in. And then we put a special thing inside here that's like an electric match. And we put this on the tube, which is super easy to do with wet glue. And we'll set that on the launch pad like that. And then you will get to push a button on a little box over there, and you'll be a ways away, a safe distance away. And when you press the button, it'll light the little electric match, and it'll shoot a whole lot of fire out the bottom, and the rocket will go up. Now, when the rocket gets all the way up and has gone as high as it can, the other end of the rocket engine, give me another engine. The other end of the engine is open. So that's the end that's the nozzle. That's the actual part that the fire shoots out. When the whole engine is used up, the top of the engine's open. And there's a big firecracker in here that goes off, and it shoots a big slug of basically kitty litter out the top, and that pushes the wadding down inside because this shoots a big fire out the top. Well, that's why we put that wadding in. The wadding is fireproof paper. And that, just like on a shotgun, you have wadding in a shotgun shell. That pushes everything up, and it pushes the parachute out, and it pushes the nose cone off, and all this just pops out the top, and it really does go that far. And then it'll start to fall, and if everything works perfectly, the parachute will deploy, and that'll open up. And you notice how the parachutes are bright orange? That's because when you launch a white and blue rocket into a blue sky with white clouds, you can't really see this very well. I've never understood why they paint rockets white. But you'll see that big orange parachute, and your job is to find this. Because it's really easy to launch rockets, and I guarantee if you launch it, it will come down. Finding it, that's on you. Because it will come down a very far way away from where you are. How far depends on how strong the wind is that day.
Depends on how vertical that is.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the wind affects the distance a lot more than the angle does. But this is what it'll look like when it lands, and you will find exactly this in a field, probably in a tree. And yeah. Now the good news is these are all really nice, simple, inexpensive rocket kits, so the odds on these going in a tree are very low. The odds on your rocket ending up in a tree directly relate to how expensive the rocket is. So these you'll probably find. And to make it launch again, this is kind of cool. This is everything you have to do to launch your rocket again after you fire it the first time. You fold this back up, just like we did.
Put more wadding.
Yep, you'll have to replace the wadding, but when you buy the engines, the wadding comes with the engine. So you can buy it separately if you want. If you get into this seriously, you will. And you just stuff it back in just like we did before. I find it easier to stuff the rubber band in first. So wadding, then rubber band, then parachute. You stuff this all in. By the way, when you find your rocket, the first thing you do is take the old motor out of it. Because the old motor may still have smoky bits, and if you point everything back in and then put the motor in, you can light it on fire. That's how I learned that. So, and to take the motor out, it's really easy. You just push down on a little metal thing, pull the motor out, and you throw the used motor away, and then you grab a new motor, and when you put the new motor in, you'll have the hollow end and the nozzle end. The nozzle sticks out. You just load that in, boop, and you can be ready to launch again that fast. Like these, you can do this all day long. And you will launch this. You can buy engines come in like 3 to 4 packs. You could probably put 8 engines through this rocket before it crashes so many times it's just not going to fly anymore. So yeah, and that's how you do it. I'm just going to throw in. It's not like it's explosive or anything. Any questions? Go.
When we go to where we're gonna do that together, do you have to buy the engine?
No, we'll bring the engines. We'll bring everything you need. Yep, you'll be all set.
Just bring your rocket.
Yep, you bring the rocket. We'll handle everything else. We'll bring the launch system and all that jazz, and we'll be using this one. And it's very likely that I'll bring a little bit bigger one, so that we can do like 2 or 3 people at a time, even.
There we go. Good idea. So.
Any other questions? All right, then they're all yours.
All right, can we get a big thank you to Chris and the rest of the crew? Thank you. So, like Chris said, I'll send you out an email with the details, but I think we'll probably try to combine with the Comstock Park group and go to the Comstock Park. So.
You may want to keep the group separate, but same location.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Comstock Park is where we're thinking. So. Cool.
If you are a parent or a kid into science, technology, stuff like that, every Saturday afternoon at 12:30, the Geek Group on Leonard does a full public tour of every lab and workshop and everything. We are the largest, oldest nonprofit makerspace in the world, and you can come there and design and build and create anything you can imagine. We have more tools right now, today, that you can use in our building than Home Depot has for sale. like a wood shop, a metal shop, auto shop. We've even got a big vehicle hoist. We have giant robots. We have every type of tool or idea you can think of. We do it all. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Hi there, guys. I'd like to thank Michael Loftus for helping out with today's Captain's Blog by making a donation through the Patreon and making everything work a little bit more smoothly today. Thank you, sir. And it's another day of rockets. Let's get going.